Hi everyone, and welcome to another video on my channel. My name is Busi, and this is a space where I talk all things life abroad as a South African living in Canada, as well as self-care. On today's video, I am talking about whether or not you should be using an agency if you are moving to Canada, for example, where I moved. And I'm basing this on the number of questions that I've received after I shared the process that my family and I used to move to Canada. A lot of you have wanted to know which agency did we use to move to Canada, and if you've gone through the comment section trying to find that information, you'll see that I have not been sharing that information, and the reason for that is it honestly is not something that I recommend. I do not recommend using an agency. I do understand that there are parts and places where agencies are needed and they might be helpful and useful to people who are going through the immigration process. But from my experience, I honestly think that you would have to have the most exceptional circumstances for you to have to use an agency, and the costs associated with using agencies are making sense. If you are looking into going through the process, you probably know that using agencies is not very cheap. It's not very cheap. It's a very huge chunk of money that goes into it. And as a person who's gone through the process of using agents, we actually tried to pull out of using the agency. And the reasons for that it was a really big waste of money, and the agency was not very helpful. There were a lot of things that we had to be teaching them how to do when we were the ones who were paying them a lot of money. This video is not about going into all of those types of details, but it's a video where I want to encourage you to look at and consider going through the process by yourself, because it's possible. And as a South African who is in Canada, I know there aren't a lot of people who are on YouTube sharing their own immigration journey and how they went about immigrating, or what process they used, and whether or not they used an agency or not. And on that front, I do encourage you to look at videos from other YouTube creators. Find people who have immigrated and they didn't use an agency. People who are sharing what they went through in terms of the processes that they followed without having to use an agency, if you just need to know that it is possible to immigrate without using an agency. As a person who's coming from South Africa, I haven't seen a number of YouTube creators who are sharing the process of their immigration story. And I know that there are a lot of other people from Africa, the continent in general, who are sharing on their story, and they are in more numbers. And there's a lot of them who have moved without having to use an agency. Do your own research, and if you really feel as though, I don't know, like you're too lazy to do the research yourself and you wanna go to an agency so they make your life easier and they tell you every single thing that you need to do, they're literally gonna go to whatever country you're trying to go to, look at what the government of that country requires, go through that checklist, give you that checklist, and you still have to do the work. You still have to do the work. They're not gonna do any of the work for you. Whatever documents you need to be putting together, whatever tests you need to go and write, you will still have to do that for yourself, and you could just save yourself a few bucks by investing the time and spending the time to look at the process and the requirements that the government where you want to go has. And when you look at the Canadian government's website, they clearly state it does not make your case any stronger whether you're using an agency or you're going through the process yourself. The most important thing is that you're reading the requirements and you are giving the information that they are asking for, and you are filling in the application forms, whatever forms you will have to fill in. You are making sure that you're not making silly mistakes on those application forms, and they are pretty straightforward. If you can read, if you understand English, basic English, you can go through the process all by yourself. So we used an agency in our process. I do not think you need to use an agency. It is a big waste of money. It was a big waste of money for us, but we had to go through that because we didn't know any better, we didn't know any different, and we didn't have anyone tell us it's possible to actually go through the process by yourself. If there is that itch in you that really wants to use an agency, then I'd say, you need to look, do your research, find that agency that you feel you want to work with. but just know that it is possible to go through the entire process and not have to spend $5,000 or 60,000 rands roundabout if you're in South Africa, paying somebody else just to go and read things that you could be reading for yourself. That's where I stand on the immigration agency use, and I'm in no way discouraging you to use an agency if you really feel that your particular situation needs you to use an agency. But just be aware that you will be doing yourself a big disservice if you do not do your due diligence and do your research, unless you have 5,000 or 60,000 rands roundabout to pay for an agency that might not bring you the value that you're actually looking for. Now, I know the video might be a little disappointing to people who are expecting me to give a name for an agency. I have shared the agency's name with some of you who reached out a couple of months ago. And with sharing the name of the agency, I also shared the terrible experience that we had with them, so people can make their own decision and decide whether they want to use the agency or not. But for this platform that I'm on right now, YouTube, on this video, I'm not trying to share a service or a company that I do not believe is going to give you value for your money. And that is the main reason why I am not sharing the name of the agency that we used. If there is one thing that I would like you to take from this video, is the importance of doing your research. If you are thinking about immigrating and moving to another country, you need to invest time, you need to spend time doing your research about that country, about that government, about the requirements that that government is going to have and require you to show before you can actually even get anywhere with the immigration process. And to anyone who is watching this and thinking, I don't know where to start, just go to the government's website. I will add a link to the description and read anything on there around immigration. You will find yourself in a place where you are able to see what the requirements the government has, and they will give you those steps that, okay, if you are interested in immigrating, this is where you create this portal. This is when you submit that. This is the documents, or these are the documents that you will need if you are going through this process. To just say, I don't know where to start, you are not interested in doing the research yourself. And if you're not interested in doing the research yourself, you can go and pay an agency, but you're still going to have to do the work for yourself. And I think what's going to push you then is the fact that you have spent like 60,000 rands or around $5,000 paying somebody else to tell you things that you could have done the research to find out for yourself. But maybe you need that extra push and that encouragement from spending the money and then having to do the things in any case. Let me know in the comment section if you have considered or have even started the process of immigrating by yourself. And if you are using an agency, how is that experience going? Share that experience with other people, and maybe somebody has a super positive experience about an agency and they found it so helpful that they want to share it with the world that everyone should be using an agency. I don't know. I am just sharing my experience through this channel, and I would like to hear what your thoughts and experiences have been for people who are currently going through the process. I will see you on the next video.
Thank you for watching.